court, knowing what was about to happen, how did you feel?
I felt quite nervous as I didn't fully know what to expect and what the outcome was going to be.
So what was you doing to prepare yourself for the situation?
I was just sort of reading up on my case and that, preparing for what questions could be asked.
When you got sentenced, what was going on in your head?
I was probably a bit anxious and worried about what would happen when I reached the prison, really.
Did you have any coping mechanisms prepared for anything like this? Did you actually think of anything that could settle your nerves?
Not really. I mean, I spoke to my family quite a lot and that, spoke to other people.
And how did your family feel when you got sentenced for your crime?
I think they were surprised and probably understanding.
Yeah, so they were still there for you then?
Yes.
Yes, that's nice.
Did you get the chance to say goodbye to your parents?
No, because as I was arrested at work and then took to the police station and straight from there to prison.
How did you feel when you first walked through the prison gates?
Quite nervous, as it was quite a big place and that, so I weren't too sure where to go, and it was quite easy to get lost.
The first 24 hours, were you able to speak to your family?
I don't think I spoke to them for probably a while until they visited me. I think it was a few weeks.
What was the thing that went through your mind the most?
It's actually just having someone to speak to, and that, because obviously you are worried about your family and that, and what they're thinking, because obviously they don't know if you're safe or not.
When you came into jail, what was the regime and what things you had to do when you first came in?
I had to get my phone number, PIN number, all sorted so I can phone my family, which took quite a while. And obviously like food menu and that, it was difficult to do without someone, telling you.
What was your thoughts on the prison food?
It was not something that I was used to, and that, because obviously it was just basic food and that. After a month, I was still on remand, so I wasn't working. So most of the time, I was locked up behind my door and that.
Did you start working in jail? Did you have a job when you was in there?
Not straight away. It was after I was convicted, and then I would do educational work and that, like maths and English.
During the 12 years, what were the biggest changes that you went through as a person?
Obviously, during the 12 years, I mean, I did quite a few courses in that. I think therapy was the most beneficial course that I did, as I was able to express myself and become more confident and learn more about myself, which enabled me to communicate better with people.
And then coming out of prison, what was different in the world? How had the world changed?
When I came out, there was quite a few changes since I was last out. For example, like paying by card and that, stuff like that, all the prices of the bus and that, or just going into McDonald's and that, where you have to use one of them machines. All these things was quite different. Even going into the bank and sorting out ID, that took quite a while because you have to do it all online, and I weren't used to that. The phones before were quite basic ones. Obviously you'd be able to text and that, but today they're quite more, you could connect to the internet and that. They're a lot more useful, probably more difficult to use if you're not used to it. Yeah, and obviously my friends, they had all disappeared and that, so I didn't know what happened, so I was sort of on my own, sort of starting afresh. The night before I left, knew that I was going to go. Obviously I was counting down the time, but I weren't as excited as other people would have been, because I knew it was just the next step, and it was going to be similar because I would still have restrictions.
What advice would you give somebody who had got a similar length of sentence?
I think when I was struggling with an issue, I would speak to a listener and explain how I felt, and that helped me in a few situations. I prefer to keep yourself busy by working and finding a hobby. So I want to find my own flat. I'll obviously be more independent. By doing that also, hopefully I would be have a job working in construction. I prefer to be in the same city as my family and that, so be closer to home. Take your time and to speak to people if you need help, and just slowly readjust. Don't go in it too fast.